Welcome to my full day of eating. Today we're gonna be starting out with slightly anabolic French toast. The protein's not really that high, so I can't really call it anabolic French toast. Pretty much just 3 ingredients. We got egg whites, bread, just as low calorie as you can find. This one's like 60 calories a slice. And then of course, cinnamon because it tastes good. And then I'll show you the sugar-free maple syrup in a little bit. First thing we're gonna do is warm up the pan because I'm extremely impatient. So get yourself a little bowl, slap it on the food scale, zero it out, bust open the egg whites, and then I'm gonna start with like 100 grams. Spot on. Get your 2 pieces of bread, and then, just give them like a good old 7 out of 10 Dunkin'. You don't wanna go too crazy with it, like a 10 out of 10 Dunkin', you'll take too much of the juice. Just like a 7 out of 10 Dunkin'. Pour the stragglers on there. So the next step, this is really like high level and crucial stuff here. You want to like spread the bread out, and then you get your ground cinnamon and give it a dusting. Yeah, look how dusted that shit is. So after you do that, the real trick with this recipe is to cook these bad boys like pretty fucking slow. Before you get them on the heat, just give it a quick little spray-roo with this bad boy. Just ruined my diet, by the way. 4 little sprays of that shit, 400 calories. Just joking, by the way. As you can tell, I'm pretty much an expert chef here. So you'll notice that I'm using a fork right here to flip them, and that's because I don't want to make extra dishes because I'm lazy. Also, I only put ground cinnamon on one side of it. I thought I had a pretty good reason for that because the cinnamon can burn pretty easy, but now that I think about it, one side already has cinnamon on it, so when I flip it, give it like a little fucking peek. Oh shit! I flipped it. Look at that. Perfecto. Not really, it's kind of undercooked. But basically what you do now is you sprinkle the ground cinnamon again on the other side while the other side cooks. And then while the other side cooks, you gotta bust out the sacred treasure. Sugar-free maple syrup. Now I'm not a chef, but I feel like it'll taste better if I put some maple syrup on it right now. Alright, so they're looking about done. Little fucking burnt, I'm not gonna lie, but we don't care because we're starving and on a calorie deficit anyways. And then while things are hot and steamy, you just want to go ahead and oil them up real good. There you go. Now you got like a solid 6.5 or 7 out of 10 French toast. Gonna get a little fancy with it for the video too. Give it a little, oh yeah, Chef Boyardee type shit. And then of course, to complete the meal, you gotta get your protein in. These are my favorite protein shakes. All right, sorry to interrupt, but it's shameless plug time. I've been working really hard on my program, and if you click on the first link in the description, you can enter your email and sign up to save 20% off the first week it drops. 160 calories, 30 grams for protein, solid stuff, and it's pre-made, so my lazy ass doesn't have to like mix it up in a cup. It's a lot of work. But, if you're in deficit, doing all that stirring burns a lot of calories. These taste better than I remember, actually. I think it's because normally when I eat these, I'm pretty fucking miserable because I don't get to have like Burger King French toast sticks. But honestly, when I'm in a calorie deficit, I usually completely skip breakfast, but for the video, I wanted to give you guys like some kind of recipe or meal for the morning. Normally what I'll do is a modified kind of intermittent fasting. Technically for fasting, you're not supposed to take in any calories until like the very end of the day. But what I do is I just avoid carbohydrates, especially simple carbs that rapidly digest, because I find that that's what actually makes me hungrier. Normally, I'll just have one of these protein shakes in the morning, some meat for lunch, and then eat like a king for dinner. As far as deficit size goes, I've ran my fair share of diets. 2,000 calories seems to be kind of like that sweet spot where I don't really have issues with adherence, but it's also fairly aggressive, so I can get in and out of the diet pretty damn quickly. In the comments, I see a lot of questions about protein intake, and ideally you spread your protein out as much as you can throughout the day. But when you're on a diet like this, sometimes that's just not ideal, which kind of leads me to my reasoning as to why I start out the day with just a protein shake. Again, it's not something you have to do. If you find that it's easier for you to stick to your diet just having nothing, then obviously do that. But for me, pretty much just straight protein. I'm not really getting hungry off that, especially because in the morning I tend to have my black coffee, my caffeine, so my appetite's a little bit more suppressed anyways. For my heavier folks out there, I'm talking to those of you who are like over 200 pounds. I didn't really think about this until a few of my clients brought it up and I saw it in the comments section. The gram per pound of body weight for protein rule doesn't really apply to you guys that are very heavy. And this is because the entire point of of protein is to preserve your lean mass. And when your weight's above 200 pounds, unless you're more advanced and you're more of like a bodybuilder or powerlifter, in which case I'm assuming you already know this, but basically because protein's purpose is to preserve your lean mass, when you bring your weight that high through fat mass, you consuming extra protein beyond like 180 to 200 grams isn't really going to have much benefit. I'd honestly say for the majority of people, especially newer lifters, going over about 180 grams isn't really going to bring you much benefit. I'd say I'm at the point in my training where I'm at least intermediate in terms of muscle development, and on my aggressive diet right now with a good amount of muscle on me, I'm eating at about 180 to 200 grams of protein per day. So if you're like 240 pounds and untrained, the idea here is you don't need 240 grams of protein. That's definitely overkill for you. So as I finish this meal up and put things away, we're going to move into meal number 2, which the way I'm currently dieting is like my go-to meal right now, but unfortunately is like 4 times as boring as this.
All right guys, so after a hearty breakfast, I'm going out to do some landscaping, crack open a cold one, and I'll see y'all for meal number 2.
All right, everyone, so meal number 2, or lunch, I'm gonna be making ground turkey with a serving of fruit, and my fruit of choice is pineapple and watermelon. But there is one very teensy little problem with this recipe, and that's just the fact that I've never made it before. And I've been eating this at least a couple times a week for like the past 4 months or so, but I'm gonna figure out how to make it for the video, so we'll see how it goes. So I think I'm supposed to start out with this guy right here. Gotta warm up the pan a little bit. And we got this pack of 93.7 ground turkey right here. I actually don't go leaner on this because I find that when you do go leaner, it doesn't absorb the sauce. It just tastes like shit. I'm sorry, I don't care how aggressive of a diet I'm on. I just quite frankly wouldn't survive eating turkey shit for dinner every night. So I guess I'm just gonna... Now guys, because I have no idea what I'm doing with this recipe, this is a little tip that might be useful for you guys if you decide to make some like low-calorie recipes yourself. If you have no idea what the fuck to do, just take it slow. For example, I'm keeping the heat low because I don't really know what ingredients I'm gonna be adding or when exactly I should add them. All right, so I had a quick consultation with the head chef, and it looks like the 2 main ingredients for this recipe are oyster sauce and soy sauce. While it cooks, we're gonna add some ground ginger and garlic powder. And you know, like earlier, you wanna give it a pretty good dusting. I'm gonna use my handy dandy food scale to measure out 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now it's getting pretty close to done, so I'm gonna cut up some green onions and put them in a bowl right here to add at the end. Not too shabby for my first time making this, I think. I don't really know, actually. We're gonna take our soy sauce that we measured out earlier and then add that in and then mix it until it's combined for a minute or 2. All right, now that we mixed in the soy sauce, we're gonna add half a bottle of this oyster sauce, which is about 100 calories or so, but I don't track it, but I probably should start. And now I'm also gonna throw in the green onions. And then here's the result. It looks like I actually did it right. So what I do with this is usually like 2 or 3 meals with me. I'll eat like 200 to 300 grams per meal. Save the rest for later, and then it's pretty convenient meal prep. I'm also gonna quickly weigh out 100 grams of pineapple, 110 grams, close enough, and then 150 grams of watermelon. There we go. And then for the ground turkey, I'm gonna measure out 300 grams. Close enough. And then with the ground turkey, I also like to have a side of shredded lettuce with it. Kind of go back and forth, feel like I'm doing something there. All right, so I just absolutely inhaled that lunch, and now we're off to the gym. And before we head over to the gym, I just want to point out that sometimes optionally intra-workout or pre-workout, I'll have about 100 calories of carbs. Right here, I have this little honey packet thing that every once in a while, if I really feel like I need it, being on a calorie deficit, I feel pretty depleted a lot of the time. So sometimes I'm so low on energy and food that I can't even get a decent pump going. And this helps a lot with my energy levels. If I'm feeling like a little hypoglycemic halfway through my workout, about to pass out or some shit. And on top of that, because I'm so low energy, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the time I'm not really motivated to get in the gym at all. So having something like that to look forward to gets my fat ass to actually go to the gym, whether I actually eat it or not. All right guys, so we're back in the kitchen for meal number 3, and we're gonna be making a low-calorie pizza, and then also having some of the ground turkey we made earlier, so that way I actually hit my protein. Now again, I'm not exactly a professional chef, but this is a pretty fucking good pizza, and my boy Yoda over there can attest to that. So the secret to this recipe is pretty much these low-calorie pizza crusts. So to start out, we're gonna need 40 grams of regular whole milk, low moisture mozzarella cheese. There we go, 40 grams. The reason why we're using this low moisture whole milk mozzarella cheese is because it melts the best and actually gets you a good pizza. Next, we're gonna do 50 calories worth of this Classico pizza sauce. This is the best pizza sauce I've tasted. I literally did a blind taste test of like 10 different pizza sauces. I'm telling you guys, this one's the best one right here. And that's about 50 calories worth. And then 6 slices of pepperoni because we bring the meat in here. Since the crust is frozen, sometimes it can be a pain in the ass to spread the sauce around. But if you wanna hit your calories, you know, sometimes everything can't be perfect. Because the cheese is pretty light on this, it's important to make sure that you spread it out pretty evenly. That way it melts all the way across and you can pretend like you're eating a normal pizza. And then another thing I'll do is I'll rip these pepperonis in half to make them go a little bit further, because I'm only using 6 pepperonis on this pretty big pizza. And then to finish it off, some salt and some garlic powder. The oven's still preheating, but you know, I'm gonna throw it in there anyways because I'm a bit of a daredevil. And then I actually don't remember how long this thing's gonna take to cook, so I'll let you guys know when it's done. All right, so it's been in there for about 10 minutes and the cheese is bubbling, the crust is brown a little bit, and I think it is done. And again, this is not exactly high protein, and that's why, again, sometime throughout the day, I try to have a meal that's basically just meat. And as you saw earlier, for me, that was that big ass bowl of ground turkey. And you might be tempted to get a little trigger happy and immediately cut this thing up, but no. You have to wait for the cheese to cool before you cut the pizza. It's like pizza making 101 shit. Absolutely beautiful 730 calorie pizza. All right guys, so I just finished up dinner, and because my parents got home, I didn't record myself eating it or actually get a final video of it. But basically I ate the entire pizza and 300 grams of ground turkey alongside that. Now obviously I don't eat this to a T every single day, but this video will give you a pretty good general idea of what my diet kind of looks like most of the time. It's kind of a lot of effort to make a whole ass pizza every day, so the calories that kind of were allocated towards that pizza, a lot of the time I'll kind of spend them on rice cakes, other little treats, or just different food to have with my meals so I don't get sick of the diet. If the video was somehow just a little bit useful or even entertaining, then go ahead and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Instagram. And if you go down the first link in the description, you can put in your email and sign up to save 20% off on my program when it releases in the first week. See you in the next video.